Oh my. Yeah.
In the foggy town of Haven, Laura Bennett stumbles into a pharmacy and sees three faces she thought were lost forever, the daughters stolen from her 18 years ago. But the truth is darker than the lie, entangled with crime and betrayal. Who hid them, and who is still watching? This fictional story, inspired by true stories, is designed to educate and entertain. Will Laura find her family, or will secrets bury them all? Stay tuned to find out. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more compelling stories that will captivate you to the end. Comment now where you are watching the video. We will begin this journey. The fluorescent lights of Haven Community Pharmacy buzzed overhead, casting a sterile glow over the aisles of cold medicine and vitamins. Laura Bennett, a 50-year-old office clerk, with tired eyes and a permanent frown, shuffled toward the counter, clutching a crumpled prescription for blood pressure meds. Her hand shook slightly, not from the chilly October air outside, but from the monotony of a life spent searching for ghosts. Haven, Maine, with its fog-choked streets and whispering pines, had been her prison for 18 years. She barely noticed the three young women behind the counter until one of them spoke. "Ma'am, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." The voice was soft, concerned, but it hit Laura like a freight train. She froze, her gaze locking onto the speaker, a blonde woman in her early 20s, her blue eyes sharp and familiar. A small heart-shaped birthmark peeked above the collar of her white lab coat. Laura's breath caught. It was Hannah. Her Hannah. The daughter she hadn't seen since that gut-wrenching night 18 years ago. Laura's vision blurred as she stared at the other two women. Sophia, with her quick smile and restless energy, was restocking shelves. Charlotte, quieter, her blonde hair pulled into a neat bun, was ringing up a customer. They were her triplets, stolen when they were 4, now grown, alive, and standing 10 feet away. Her heart pounded, a deafening drum in her chest. She clutched the counter to steady herself, her prescription slipping to the floor. "Sorry, ma'am, do we know you?" Sophia asked, tilting her head, her voice laced with curiosity. Laura's throat tightened. She wanted to scream their names, to pull them into her arms, but their polite, professional smiles stopped her cold. They didn't know her. They didn't recognize the mother who'd sung them lullabies, who'd sewn their matching dresses. You're my Hannah, aren't you?" Laura whispered, her voice hoarse, barely audible. The words felt like broken glass in her mouth. Hannah frowned, exchanging a glance with Charlotte. I'm Hannah, but I'm sorry. Have we met?" Hannah's words were kind but guarded, slicing through Laura's hope like a blade. Laura's eyes darted to Charlotte, who was watching now. Her fingers paused on the cash register. Around Charlotte's neck gleamed a delicate heart-shaped pendant, the one Laura had bought at a Portland flea market a month before her girls vanished. Her knees buckled, but she caught herself. "No, I just need my meds," Laura stammered, bending to retrieve her prescription. Her mind raced. How were they here? Who had raised them? Why didn't they know her? She handed the paper to Hannah, her fingers brushing her daughter's for a fleeting second. As she stumbled out into the foggy night, Laura glanced back through the pharmacy's glass doors. Her daughters laughed together, oblivious to the woman whose world had just shattered. She leaned against the brick wall, tears burning her eyes. They were alive, but someone had stolen the man her entire life. Laura Bennett's small apartment on the edge of Haven reeked of stale coffee and despair. The walls, papered with yellowed newspaper clippings and faded photos of 3 smiling 4-year-old girls, closed in as she sat hunched over her kitchen table. Her hands trembled, clutching a dog-eared snapshot of Hannah, Sophia, and Charlotte, their blonde pigtails glowing in the sunlight of a long-lost summer. That night in September, 18 years ago, haunted her. Daniel Reed, her husband, had stormed out, drunk and furious, screaming she was a failure as a mother. He'd taken the triplets, vowing to teach her a lesson. By morning, they were Ganino Node, no trace. Laura had spent every dime on private investigators, plastered missing posters across Maine, but the trail went cold. Now, her girls were alive, working at Haven Community Pharmacy, calling another man dad. She couldn't sleep. The heart-shaped pendant around Charlotte's neck gnawed at her, a jagged reminder of the life stolen from her. By dawn, Laura was back at the pharmacy, clutching a bottle of vitamins she didn't need. The fog outside clung to Haven streets, muffling the world, but inside, the triplets moved with easy grace, laughing as they worked. "Hey, Dad's picking us up tonight," Charlotte said, adjusting a shelf of cold remedies. "He's throwing a big dinner for our first month here." "Yeah, he says we're his rare jewels," Sophia added with a grin, her voice bright. "Always has." Laura's stomach twisted. She edged closer, pretending to read a label. "Your dad must be proud," she said, her voice tight. "Has he lived in Haven long?" Hannah glanced up, her blue eyes sharp. "All our lives. Raised us on Pinewood Lane since we were little." Pinewood Lane, a quiet street, lined with clapboard houses and secrets. Laura's heart raced. How had they been so close, yet invisible? She paid for the vitamins, her hand shaking, and left, her mind churning. Back home, she dug through a box of old files, finding a brittle newspaper from 2007. The headline screamed, "Fire destroys Haven home, family missing." It was her house, gutted by flames the police called an accident. No bodies were found, but the article hinted at foul play. Laura's breath hitched. Had someone wanted them gone? Then she found a yellowed police report buried online, mentioning Thomas Reed, Daniel's older brother, questioned in a child disappearance case in Vermont years before. No charges, but the coincidence chilled her. Thomas, the man her daughters called Dad, had a shadow trailing him. Laura's fingers tightened around the report. Was he a protector or a predator? She stared out her window at the fog-shrouded pines, her pulse hammering. Someone had hidden her girls, rewritten their lives. And now, a darker truth loomed. Thomas might be tangled in something far more sinister than a family feud. The fog clung to Haven's Main Street like a shroud, swallowing the neon glow of the hardware store where Thomas Reed worked. Laura Bennett, her heart pounding with a mix of fury and dread, lurked in the paint aisle, watching Thomas charm a customer with his easy smile. 55, graying but fit, he bragged about his girls graduating from Coastal Maine University. 3 pharmacists, he said, voice swelling with pride. Who'd have thought? Laura's fingers tightened around a can of primer, her mind screaming. Those were her daughters, not his. She'd lost 18 years, and he stood there, basking in stolen glory. At dusk, Laura followed him to Pinewood Lane, the air thick with pine and menace. Under a flickering street lamp, she waited until he parked his truck, then stepped from the shadows. "Thomas Reed," she said, her voice sharp as a blade. He froze, keys dangling, his face paling in the moonlight. "Who, Laura?" His eyes darted to the house, checking for witnesses. "What are you doing here?" "You stole my daughters," she hissed, stepping closer. "You told them I was dead." Thomas's jaw tightened, his gaze cold. "You don't know what you're talking about, Laura. Daniel was a wreck. Those girls needed stability." "Stability?" Laura's voice cracked. "You forged documents, changed their names." He glanced around, lowering his voice to a menacing whisper. "You should have stayed gone. Some secrets are better buried." Her blood ran cold. "What secrets? What did you do to Daniel?" Thomas hesitated, his eyes flickering with something dark. Guilt, maybe fear. "Daniel got in deep with bad people. I took the girls to protect them. You think I wanted this? I saved them from worse." "Worse, eh?" Laura snapped. "You erased me." He stepped closer, his breath hot. "Keep digging, Laura, and you'll end up like him." The words hit like a punch. She stumbled back, her hand brushing her purse, where she'd tucked an old photo of her and the triplets. When she pulled it out, Thomas's eyes widened. The picture showed Laura cradling her girls, but her face was scratched out, a jagged scar across the paper. "Where did you get this?" she demanded. He didn't answer, turning toward the house. Laura's phone buzzed in her pocket. She glanced down a text from an unknown number. "Stop digging, or you'll end up like Daniel." Her pulse roared. She looked up, but Thomas was gone, the back door slamming shut. The fog seemed to thicken, swallowing the house's warm glow. Laura's hand shook as she stared at the message. Daniel was dead. She'd heard rumors of a heart attack, but now doubt gnawed at her. Had Thomas orchestrated it all? And who was watching her? The pines whispered secrets she couldn't decipher, but one thing was clear. Someone, or something, wanted her silenced, and her daughters were still in the crosshairs of a danger she couldn't yet name. Hannah Reed couldn't shake the unease crawling up her spine. The woman from the pharmacy, Laura, had asked about her childhood, stirring memories that didn't fit the story Dad Thomas had told her. A soft lullaby about little birds, a whiff of vanilla perfume fragments that haunted her dreams. At 22, she shouldn't remember things from when she was 4, but those echoes felt too real. That night, under Haven's suffocating fog, Hannah crept up to the attic of the Pinewood Lane house, her sisters asleep downstairs. The air was stale, heavy with secrets. She found a dusty cardboard box labeled Mom's keepsakes in childish scrawl her own, maybe. Inside were relics, a faded blue dress, a journal with elegant handwriting, and a rusted key that felt cold against her palm. She flipped open the journal. Hannah said Mama today, it read. Sophia crawled to the fridge. Charlotte smiled at a butterfly. Her breath hitched. These weren't random notes, they were about her and her sisters. The handwriting wasn't Thomas's. Her hand shook as she found a letter tucked inside, penned by a man named Daniel. Thomas, please, give them back to Laura. She's their mother. I messed up. The words burned. Daniel her real father? And Laura, alive? Her world tilted. You ever feel like Dad's hiding something? Hannah asked Sophia the next morning, her voice low as they sorted pills at the pharmacy. Sophia rolled her eyes, tossing her blonde hair. You're being paranoid. Dad's always been straight with us. Then why do I dream about a woman singing to me? Hannah pressed, her heart racing. It's not the mom Dad described sick, quiet. I hear laughter, feel her brushing my hair. Sophia shrugged, but doubt flickered in her eyes. Dreams aren't facts, Hannah. That evening, Hannah tracked Laura to Haven Square, the park's benches shrouded in mist. Laura's face, lined with pain, lit up when Hannah approached. You found something, didn't you? Laura asked, her voice trembling. Hannah held up the key. This was in a box with your journal. It's from our old house, isn't it? Laura nodded, tears welling. The house that burned. I never stopped looking for you. Was Dad Thomas Leang? Hannah's voice broke. Is he even our dad? Laura's eyes darkened. He's your uncle, Daniel, your father, took you away. Thomas kept you hidden. Hannah's knees buckled. She clutched the bench, the key biting into her palm. A low rumble broke the silence. A black SUV idling across the square, its tinted windows gleaming like eyes. Laura grabbed her arm. We're being watched, she whispered, her voice sharp with fear. Hannah's pulse thundered. The letter's words echoed. Daniel begging for forgiveness, hinting at danger. Had he been silenced? The SUV's engine revved, headlights slicing through the fog. Hannah gripped the key tighter, her mind screaming one question. What had Thomas dragged them into, and who was coming for them now? Laura Bennett's heart thundered as she and her daughters fled through Haven's fog-drenched pines, the gunshots' echo still ringing in their ears. Hannah gripped her hand, Sophia and Charlotte stumbling behind, their breaths ragged. The black SUV's headlights sliced through the mist, its engine growling like a predator. They ducked behind a gnarled oak, the cold Maine air biting their skin. Laura clutched the journal, its pages proof of her stolen motherhood. Thomas's confession that he'd hidden the girls from a criminal syndicate tied to Daniel burned in her mind. But the files they'd found in the burned house on Birch Road hinted at something worse. Thomas wasn't just a protector, he was complicit. We can't stay here, Laura whispered, her voice taut. We need to get to the police. Hannah's eyes, wide with fear, met hers. Mom, Laura, what if they're watching the station? We have no choice, Laura said, her resolve stealing. Those files name names. We can end this. Sophia's voice shook. Dad's part of this, isn't he? He didn't just lease one of them. Charlotte clutched her pendant, tears streaking her face. I want to believe he loves us. He does, Laura said, her voice softening, but love doesn't erase betrayal. They reached Haven's police station, its dim lights a beacon in the fog. Inside, Laura handed over the files, bank records, coded messages, and a list of aliases linked to a Portland-based syndicate. The police chief, a grizzled man named Carter, promised protection. Thomas was arrested, his face grim as he admitted to forging documents to hide the girls, claiming it was to shield them from Daniel's debts, but he swore he'd cut ties with the syndicate years ago. The police weren't convinced. Months later, the sisters sat with Laura under a towering oak in Haven Square, a plaque at its base reading, Bennett Reed Family, rebuilt in 2025. The fog had lifted, but a chill lingered. We can't erase the past, Hannah said, her voice steady. But we can build something new, Mom. Laura's heart swelled. That's all I ever wanted. A chance to know you. Charlotte hesitated. Can you forgive Dad? He messed up, but he raised us. I'm trying, Laura said, her eyes distant. For you, I'm trying. Sophia frowned. What about those men? Are we safe? A letter arrived that morning, slipped under Laura's door. You can't hide forever. She hadn't told the girls, her fear a silent weight. Dr. Emily Harper, a family therapist, later told them, truth rebuilds trust, but secrets tied to crime leave scars. Seek help to heal. Her warning was stark. Hidden truths can endanger lives. Act fast or pay the price. As the sisters laughed under the oak, Laura's hand tightened on the letter in her pocket. The syndicate was still out there, watching. She smiled for her daughters, but her eyes scanned the horizon. Safety was fragile, and the shadows of Haven held secrets that refused to stay buried.